The moment I decided not to cry was the moment my husband lost everything. Not when I found the messages. Not when I confirmed the hotel receipts. Not even when I realized how long he'd been lying to my face. No. It was the moment I smiled, poured myself coffee, and started planning. My name is Alara Mercer, and people think this story is about a bitter wife who wanted revenge. They're wrong. This is about a woman who let her husband believe he was winning. Right up until the ground vanished beneath him. By the time Adrian Mercer walked into his office that Monday morning, his reputation was already bleeding online. Screenshots. Captions. Carefully timed posts that didn't scream rage, but certainty. He built his empire on lies. Truth always collects its debt. Watch carefully. I tagged nothing directly. No accusations. No names. Just enough breadcrumbs to make people talk. Adrian was obsessed with control. His company wasn't just a business, it was his proof of worth. Built from nothing, fueled by ego, protected by secrecy. And I knew something no one else did. He'd been cheating for over 2 years. Late supplier meetings. Business trips that didn't exist. Calls he took outside, pacing like a caged animal. I didn't confront him. I documented him. I watched him underestimate me the same way he always had, like I was furniture. Decorative. Replaceable. Unaware. That morning, I cooked his favorite breakfast. Eggs soft. Bacon crisp. Calm on purpose. I slid a folder across the table. Mediation is in 2 weeks, I said gently. Let's be adults. He barely looked up. That smirk told me everything. He thought I was scared. Thought I'd beg. Thought I hadn't noticed his attorney already preparing to gut me. You won't fight this, he said. You never do. He had no idea I already had. That night, after he stormed out, I unlocked the storage unit I'd been paying for quietly, cash only. Inside were copies of contracts, email chains, financial transfers, and something far more dangerous than evidence. Intent. Because while Adrian was hiding affairs, I was learning how empires fall. And this was only the opening move. He thought silence meant surrender. What he didn't know was that silence was my countdown. People ask why I didn't leave the moment I knew. Because leaving would have been mercy. Staying meant leverage. The first crack appeared 2 years earlier. Adrian came home late, smelling like hotel soap instead of engine oil. He kissed my forehead like it was a chore. I watched his phone light up with a name saved as Logistics West. No logistics company texts at midnight. I didn't accuse him. I memorized patterns. New suits. New confidence. A laugh he never used with me anymore. Then came the trips. Phoenix. Reno. San Diego. Each one wrapped in excuses so thin they insulted my intelligence. I started checking browser history. That's when I saw it. Can my spouse claim business assets in divorce? I stared at that search for a full minute. He wasn't just cheating on me. He was planning to erase me. That night, I didn't scream. I opened a notebook. I began tracking timelines. Flights. Credit card authorizations. Company transfers. And slowly, something terrifying revealed itself. Adrian thought he was untouchable. What he didn't realize was that arrogance always leaves fingerprints. I started asking questions casually. About the company structure. About old partnerships. About why certain assets weren't technically under his name. He loved explaining himself. Loved feeling smarter. I let him talk. While he bragged, I learned. While he cheated, I prepared. The night he had a health scare, collapsed from stress, I was out of town. Not with another man. With a forensic accountant. When the hospital called, I waited 10 minutes before answering. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. Because I needed to know how far he'd go without me. Turns out, very far. When I arrived, he looked annoyed I'd come at all. That was the moment my love fully died. From then on, everything I did had purpose. The posts weren't emotional. The silence wasn't weakness. The marriage wasn't real anymore. It was a stage. And I was letting him perform. right until opening night. He thought he was the predator. What he didn't see was that I'd already built the cage. When Adrian handed me the divorce papers, he expected panic. What he got was a smile. I read every page, every clause, every footnote he assumed I'd ignore. And then I did something that terrified his lawyer. I asked questions. Why is this company listed as advisory-based? Why does this trust predate our marriage? Why is my waiver referenced 3 separate times? Adrian shot me a warning look. Too late. Because buried in those documents was the truth he never meant for me to notice. He'd protected his empire from me long before he ever cheated. And that meant one thing. He was vulnerable elsewhere. I hired my own team quietly. No dramatic announcements. No threats. Just professionals who specialized in one thing, unraveling lies. We found shell movements. Silent partners. Transactions that didn't match reported income. Not illegal, just exposed. Adrian had built walls so high he forgot about the foundation. And foundations crack. I waited. Let him feel confident. Let him believe the narrative he was spinning online, that I was unstable, emotional, grasping. I posted nothing directly refuting him. That made him bolder. Mistake. By the time mediation arrived, he walked in like a king. I walked in with receipts. He thought the courtroom would end me. That's where I finally began. The courthouse smelled like fear and paper. Adrian arrived polished. Confident. His attorney spoke like a man already counting money. They painted me as resentful. Petty. A wife who wanted revenge. I let them. Then they presented photos. Carefully cropped. Carefully staged. I didn't interrupt. Because timing is everything. When it was my turn, I stood slowly. Calm wins more wars than rage ever will. That image, I said, is missing 11 people. The judge looked up. I handed over timestamps. Metadata. Witness statements. One lie exposed weakens every truth that follows. Adrian's smile slipped. Then I dropped the travel records. Hotels. Receipts. Calls made while he claimed he was working. The room changed temperature. For the first time, he looked at me like he didn't recognize me. Good. Because the woman he married was gone. He thought that was my strike. It wasn't. It was my warning. When ownership came up, Adrian relaxed. That was his safe zone. Trusts. Waivers. Structures built to keep me out. His lawyer smirked. I didn't argue. I revealed. Emails. Signatures. His own explanations, recorded, transcribed, undeniable. The judge didn't look impressed. He looked disappointed. And disappointment cuts deeper than anger. Adrian finally spoke. Elara, you knew what you signed. Yes, I replied. And you knew what you were hiding. Silence. That's when he realized this wasn't about money. It never was. He thought losing assets was the worst outcome. He was wrong. By the final hearing, the press had vanished. Only truth remained. The ruling was simple. No empire for me. No pagod. No dramatic victory. Just something far worse for him. Exposure. Contracts renegotiated. Partnerships questioned. Trust shattered. Because once people stop believing you, money follows. Adrian didn't lose half. He lost credibility. And credibility is the one thing you can't rebuild quietly. Outside the courthouse, Adrian tried to speak to me. I didn't stop. He needed closure. I didn't. The empire kept standing. But it shook. And he knew why. Because revenge isn't destruction. It's reminder. Months later, I passed his old office. Lights on. Alone. He still had everything. Except peace. And that was enough. Because the cruelest revenge is letting them live, knowing they lost. If this story hit you hard, hit that like button, subscribe for more real stories of standing up for yourself, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.